So in just a couple of seconds, I'm going to be playing you some leaked audio of a Joe Biden and Kamala Harris closed-door meeting with black civil rights leaders, including folks like Al Sharpton. You were not meant to hear this audio, neither was I, neither was anyone in the public, which is why it's so important to hear Joe Biden mean what he actually says when he's not expecting to be recorded. And so I want to play you a few examples, and then we're going to come back and break it down a little bit.
This is a completely closed call, so just want to remind you of that. There's no recording.
I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who were African Americans are dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Let's get something straight. You shouldn't be disappointed. What I've done so far is more than anybody else has done this far. Okay? Number one. Number two, I mean what I say when I say it. There's some things that I'm going to be able to do by executive order. I'm not going to hesitate to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to do what used to, Benita, you probably used to get angry with me during the debates when you'd have some of the people you were supporting say, on day one, I'm going to executive order to do this. Not within the constitutional authority. I am not going to violate the Constitution. There is a Constitution. It's our only hope. Our only hope. And the way to deal with it is where I have executive authority, I will use it to undo every single damn thing this guy has done by executive authority. But I'm not going to exercise executive authority where it's questioned, where I can come along and say, I can do away with assault weapons. There's no executive authority to do away with that. And no one's fought harder to get rid of assault weapons than me. Me. But you can't do it by executive order. If you do that, next guy comes along and says, well, guess what? By executive order, I'm going to say everybody can own machine guns again. So we got to be careful. I know you all know this. I know you know it. I don't think we should make that a big issue going into before January 5th when the election takes place down in Georgia. But I also don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves on dealing with police reform in that, because they've already labeled us as being defund the police. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur, promise you. Just think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country, saying that we're talking about defunding the police. We're not. We're talking about holding them accountable. I just raised it with you to think about. How much do we push between now and January 5th? We need those 2 seats about police reform.
And so this comes from leaked reporting by Ryan Grimm at The Intercept. He obtained this leak recording. He obtained it and wrote an article about it. In that article, there's a 15-minute version of these clips. There's a lot more in there. So I want you to go and listen to the full audio, and I want you to go and read Ryan's article, share his article. It's fantastic reporting. But I wanted to bring you just a few examples there that show some common themes. One, Joe Biden still speaks about black people and about other minorities in this sort of condescending tone that simultaneously, he understands even better than they do, the disadvantages black people face. He says that even before black people, I was talking about racial injustice, which is absurd. That's basically what he's implying in the first part of that clip. He also shows that he's very defensive when even friendly people to him, people that helped organize the vote for him, have gentle criticisms that he basically lashes out behind closed doors. Like, how dare these black civil rights leaders tell me I need to do better? But crucially there are 2 moments. One, Joe Biden is basically saying that he doesn't want to use his executive power unless it's absolutely unquestioned whether he can. He's not going to actually flex any muscle. He might undo the things Donald Trump did. He'll do little things here and there. But if there's any debate at all about whether he can use his powers, he doesn't want to do it. And he says it's about, I can't do this because if I do it, the next guy's going to come in and do something even worse, undo all I did, and use what I did as a pretext to do more. But Joe Biden is either a naive fool or he's lying to these people, because it doesn't matter. The Republicans are not good faith actors. It doesn't matter if Joe Biden is the most cautious executive power user in modern American history, or whether he uses his powers with reckless abandon every day. The point is, the next Republican will do whatever they can to crush opposition. And it doesn't matter how Joe Biden acts. Joe Biden, again, he either doesn't get that or he does and doesn't care. So what these civil rights leaders are asking for, and go listen to the full clip. I didn't want to just, poach Ryan's entire reporting, but they're basically saying, we want you to be bold. We want you to be principled. We want you to fight for the best legislation you can, but barring that, do as much as you can with executive orders to help us and help our communities and help the most disadvantaged Americans. And Biden's like, nah, not really. I'm not going to do that. If there's any whinging from any Republican, I'm not going to do it. Absolute failing cowardice from Joe Biden. And then you also get him, and this is probably the most insulting part, already saying it's time for black people and progressives to shut the heck up. That's what he's saying. Already basically saying, look, I don't want to talk about Tom Vilsack, that's in the full clip, and how he's not a good agricultural pick. I don't want to talk about what we need to do to curb police injustice and to bring in racial justice. I don't want to hear anything about that right now, because Georgia Senate elections are a few weeks away, and I'm worried about spooking voters in Georgia, so I need you folks in this room to shut the hell up. That's what he's saying. He's not wording it exactly like that, but that's what Joe Biden is saying to some of the most historically and contemporary important leaders of the civil rights community. I don't always agree with all of them on everything, but they have been civil rights icons, a lot of the people in that room. And he's telling them to be quiet, to stop pressuring me, to stop demanding things from me, to stop asking for anything big, because if you do, one, I won't deliver it, and two, it'll scare Trump voters in Georgia. Whether that's true or not, you can get a pattern here already, guys. You have Joe Biden still trying to build monolithic understandings here of the black community. You have Joe Biden bragging about how he knows more about black suffering than black people do. You have Joe Biden defensive whenever he's challenged, even by friends in private. You have Joe Biden saying that even if I have the power to do something, if it's the least bit controversial, I'm not going to do it. Guys, that makes me very skeptical that he's going to cancel student loan debt, even though most people agree he has the ability to at least do a partial, universal cancellation of federal public debt. But he says he probably won't do that. And then finally, and probably most disgustingly, he's already demanding silence from the black community to help him and his party electorally. Remember this, on his election night, he said to the black community, "You were there for me, and I will be there for you." It seems to me like Joe Biden has already broken that promise, and he's not even fully president yet.